Today on the Morning Edition, multiple avalanches happened over the weekend, and in the Girdwood Valley area, one skier was caught and seriously injured. We'll tell you how much danger remains. Plus, in Fairbanks, preparations are well underway for their annual event designed to fill empty bellies by selling empty bowls. But these aren't just any bowls. We'll show you how much effort goes into these practical works of art. And later, imagine being at the hospital for a week, a month, 6 months, over a year. That was the reality for this young lady. But when she finally got to come home, some changes had to be made, and quickly. We'll show you how the community came together to make it happen as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. Hope you had a great weekend, and it is feeling quite toasty outside compared to what we've seen in the past few weeks, Aaron.
Yeah, walking out this morning, you're not going to need one of those thick jackets. It feels nice outside compared to where we have been sitting for a good portion of the state. Even into the interior, we managed to top out in the teens and even some lower 20s yesterday. And even across parts of South Central through the weekend, we managed to see those temperatures breaking freezing for parts of the region. Now, keep in mind, since December 1st, Anchorage has only managed to top out at or above freezing only about 14 times. So anytime we make a run near that freezing mark, it is certainly something to get outside and enjoy. 17 degrees currently in Anchorage, 28 in Juneau. Juneau also hitting a brand new seasonal record when it comes to snowfall accumulation. Since the start of the snow season, we've seen nearly 200 inches of snow accumulation. But it is a warm one this morning across South Central compared to where we have been sitting. 13 degrees in Palmer, 14 in Talkeetna, 1 below in Golcana. And then, of course, some of those warmer conditions as you head from Seward out towards Valdez and Cordova, seeing those temperatures sitting in the low to mid 20s as we start off your Monday morning. And this is considerably warmer than yesterday. Many areas seeing those temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees warmer. Now, a handful of locations seeing temperatures slightly cooler than what we did wake up to yesterday. But the general trend, considering where we have been sitting for most of the month, is continuing to climb when it comes to our temperatures. Not only for South Central, but the state as a whole, we are going to see those temperatures steadily climb as we continue to pull ourselves out of a deep freeze. Those temperatures today warming into the upper 20s and the lower 30s. We have a decent shot this week that we'll see a stretch of some 30s in the forecast for a good portion of South Central. Of course, the better opportunity will be as you head closer to the coast. Inland locations will be a couple of degrees cooler, but overall, we are going to see much warmer weather taking hold across the state. So we do have a new record for snow in Southeast. I'll have that for you coming up. But with that said, there is still some snow for the Panhandle. That does wind down through the morning, and those temperatures across the state continue to trend upward across Alaska. I'll have more on that as well as a 7-day forecast for you coming up.
A skier was injured Saturday in the Girdwood Valley area during a human-triggered avalanche. Forest Service avalanche forecaster Daniel Kruger says 3 people were climbing up Max's Mountain when one of them triggered the avalanche.
That avalanche was large enough to carry and bury one of the individuals. They were rescued, and they had sustained serious injury and requested a helicopter to evacuate them for the field.
He says there were 10 known avalanches Saturday, but that was the only injury he had heard of. He also said while the weather seems nice, that doesn't mean that the danger has gone down.
We're getting a lot of nice weather now, and a lot of people associate dangerous conditions with after a storm, and then the snow gets more stable and it's fun. It's safer to ride. At the moment, with this buried weak layer, this problem may last for a while. And so if the conditions stay nice and sunny, we still have a dangerous snowpack.
You can learn more about the dangers and warning signs of avalanches on our website or mobile app. And speaking of avalanches, they are a frequent challenge along the Seward Highway where steep mountain terrain and heavy snow can create dangerous conditions for drivers and road crews. A new project funded through the U.S. Department of Transportation aims to improve avalanche detection and warning systems along that corridor. Joining us now is Stan Caldwell, the director of the Smart Grants program. Stan, thanks for joining us this morning. Tell us a little bit about how this program will work.
Thanks, Kristen. I'm really appreciate being here today talking about this, especially with the newscast that just aired on the avalanches. Avalanches are a major problem for the Seward Highway, a major safety problem for the highway, and a problem for road closures. And I'm here to talk about a SMART grant from the United States Department of Transportation, a $1 million grant to the Alaska State Department of Transportation to help mitigate the safety issues related to avalanches. We were on the Seward Highway yesterday down past Girdwood to see dozens of avalanche paths and the impacts of these. And there's 3 new technologies that the Alaska State Department of Transportation is deploying in order to mitigate these. This is cutting-edge technology, some that's not being done anywhere else. And the folks here at Alaska Department of Transportation are pioneering this technology, and the SMART grant is funding this so that we can take lessons learned here and share with the lower 48. This is technology that is cutting edge, and what's happening in Alaska, the eyes of the world are on Alaska to see this technology in action.
So is this the first place that this technology is being put to use?
One of the technologies is a remote avalanche control system. This is a 10-foot tube that is on a trailer that can be deployed remotely to areas where avalanches, where snowpack is getting dangerously high, and then to be able to set off those in a much safer way and in a way that is will have a lot less reductions in traffic closures than existing technology.
Now, the program is being led by our state DOT. How important is that state-federal partnership in making something like this happen?
The SMART Grants program is looking for innovators that are pioneering new technology that can be shared with others. And this is a great example of that. You know, at U.S. Department of Transportation, safety is job one. And we like to say safety first, innovation always. And at the Department of Transportation, under the leadership of Secretary Duffy, we want to make sure that every community, regardless of size, regardless of location, has access to these innovative technologies. And this is an incredible example of that right here in Alaska.
All right, Stan Caldwell, again, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kristen.
Well, multiple people were taken to the hospital after a mobile home fire in East Anchorage Sunday morning, including one in critical condition with significant burns. That's according to the Anchorage Fire Department, who says a firefighter was also injured. AFD says the injuries were not life-threatening. The fire happened at the Rangeview Mobile Home Park near Muldoon and 6th around 11 in the morning. AFD says a neighbor saw smoke pouring out of the home and called 911. When the crew arrived, a captain on scene says the home had heavy fire coming out of 2 front windows.
We knocked down the fire. We were quick and made entry and had a good, got a search on the building really quick and made sure nobody else was in there. Had the fire under control in minutes, basically.
The cause is under investigation, and AFD says the Red Cross has responded as well to help. An Anchorage defense attorney accused by federal prosecutors of helping a cartel-linked drug ring was in court Friday, and the judge said he stays in custody. 45-year-old Justin Facey asked to be released while he waits for trial, but prosecutors say the group at the center of this case is tied to fentanyl trafficking across Alaska, arguing Facey is both a flight risk and a danger to the community. Facey's parents testified virtually, asking the court to let him go to treatment and live with them under strict conditions, but the government pointed to allegations, including court-filed claims that Facey requested sexual favors from clients and bragging about being a, quote, cartel lawyer, adding the drug case involves a large-scale operation.
In Sand Point, more lethal doses were seized in 4 times the population. In Good News Bay, 21 times, and in Tyonek, 44 times.
Meantime, hundreds gathered in a ballroom lined with Alaska Native art Saturday night at the Hotel Captain Cook in Anchorage. The 30th annual Alaska Native Art Auction brought in distinguished guests from around Anchorage for a night of bidding on pieces from Alaska Native artists. It's the main fundraiser for the Kowanik Broadcast Corporation, which owns various Alaska Native news outlets, including the KNVA station in Anchorage.
Well, I feel really optimistic with our plan for 2030, and that is because of the people that are here this evening that are contributing to public media and the initiative to raise individual funds from individuals, but also to create a more self-sustaining plan to not be so dependent on one funder.
The particular event had an additional purpose. The launch of the Kiwanis 2030 project aimed to help the company survive after last year's federal and state level cuts to public broadcasting and eventually operate without reliance on federal funding.
This evening, we're launching a plan to really work on strategic initiatives around language preservation. We have a new program coming up that will be featuring Indigenous languages from throughout Alaska and working with partner stations like KYUK in Bethel, KBRW in Barrow, for instance, to create new Indigenous programming that will be available.
The group says the focus includes increasing sources of revenue and deepening the connection, with Indigenous language and arts and culture. A fundraiser being put on by the Fairbanks Community Food Bank aims to fill empty bellies by selling empty bowls. Alex Bengal went to the food bank to learn more about the event's long history in Fairbanks.
Bowls have started to gather on the shelves of the Fairbanks Community Food Bank, with many more to come, made by local potters for a good cause. Preparations are underway for the nonprofit's 36th annual Empty Bowls event, where these donated bowls are sold to the community, funds going back to the food bank.
The potters are always here, and so you get to meet the potters that made your bowls. You get to talk with them about what the pottery community is.
The Fairbanks Potters Guild, the university's Student Ceramics Art Guild, and more come together to create these works of art, up to 1,000 a year.
Many of our potters have dedicated decades to participating in this event.
As many as 500 people are expected to show up, festivities including food and a silent auction.
I've been able to hang out with these wonderful local artists every year for decades. And the fact that they're willing to give, that's their livelihood, and they're willing to make up to 100 or 200 bowls a piece for us to be able to share, that's really special.
Every piece made with love, and that love bringing the community together to spread it around. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
Coming up, Iditarod 2026 is officially over, and while this year left us with several good memories, all good things, as they say, must come to an end. We'll take a look at the Red Lantern ceremony and the close of the race just after the break.
And a brand new seasonal record when it comes to snow in Southeast, particularly for Juneau. I have that for you, as well as a look ahead at that 7-day forecast. First at sunrise, 7:50 in Anchorage, 6:50 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back in. 16 minutes past the hour on this Monday morning. And you promised it was going to warm up, Aaron, and it certainly has.
Yeah, this weekend, it was nice. We had that sun out, just stepping outside, and it felt nice, even in some short sleeves with that sun just beaming down on us through the weekend. We managed to warm into the 30s across South Central. Now, while we're warming across the state, Southeast continuing to chase brand new records. As of this morning, this does include yesterday's snowfall totals and not anything that has fallen since midnight. But we're currently at 195.8 inches of snow accumulation for the season, which beat out the previous record of 194.3 inches set back in 1964 and 1965. And this is the snowiest season in about 20 years, since 2006, 2007. And we are going to continue to see additional snow accumulation as we head through the rest of today. Now, the bulk of the snowfall for Southeast fell during the winter season. If you remember, December smashed previous snowfall records as Southeast saw a very, very heavy snowfall event during the December season. And then as we transitioned into the spring month, so far for this month, we've already seen just under 65 inches of snow accumulation since March 1st for Juneau. And that has brought us to 195.8 inches of snow accumulation, which is 111.6 inches above what we typically see through this time period. So it certainly has been a fairly active season. And there is some good news for Southeast. Things are beginning to wind down. Now, we're still holding on to several rounds of some snow and possibly some wintry mix as we head throughout the day. We've still got some winter weather advisories. The last advisory expires at 4 p.m., but we've got a handful that expires at 6 a.m., or that did expire at 6 a.m. We've got some that expire at 10 a.m., and then that last advisory is at 4 p.m. For an additional 2 to 6 inches of snow accumulation, and visibility will be reduced to 1 mile or less. in some of those heavier snow showers. So currently we're waking up 6 degrees in Yakutat, so we do have some cold conditions, 20s and 30s as you head elsewhere across southeast. Snow is not widespread like we have been dealing with, but we are going to continue to keep some passing snow showers around today. Then as we welcome in our Tuesday, this is some good promising news for southeast. Will trend dry. Some sunshine will return. This will carry us on through Wednesday as well, where we are going to continue to see much drier conditions for southeast. Now, we can't rule out a lingering snow shower, but largely expecting this week to provide much drier conditions for southeast. This is coming off of what has been a record-breaking snow year. So you can see additional rounds of accumulation to be expected. Nothing significant in terms of the heavier snowfall, but that will continue to add on to what has been a record-breaking season. Those temperatures today will top out in the 30s. We are going to be watching a chance that we could see some localized areas of wintry mix as well as those temperatures warm into the mid-30s as we head throughout the afternoon hours. And then as we head through the rest of the week, you can see dry conditions from Tuesday on through Thursday. Those temperatures do briefly cool off into the 20s for highs, dropping down into the teens. So we are expecting to see some colder conditions. And then following that dry break, we are going to see a return to some wintry mix by week's end on into the weekend. Kristen, this will not be widespread. This looks to be more scattered to periodic in nature. But the good news is we are going to see an extended stretch of some dry conditions. I'll have that forecast for South Central coming up in the next few minutes.
We have our red lantern finisher.
The final musher running in this year's Iditarod crossed under the Burled Arch in Nome Friday night, marking an official end to the race. Charlie Fellows shows us the red lantern and the man who got to extinguish it.
Cantwell musher Richie Beatty rode into Nome just before 8 p.m. Friday evening as the 29th and final finisher of Iditarod 54, giving him the honor of performing a storied race tradition.
We have the widow's lamp, and we would request that you extinguish it for us.
Oh, I'd love to.
To signify that all mushers have now safely come off of our trail. Congratulations.
The rookie Iditarod finisher receiving the Red Lantern Award, given yearly to the final musher off the trail.
It was cool to kind of be the conclusion. I don't feel bad at all, but I was actually really stoked. Red Lantern was, it was cool.
The award is an acknowledgement that just finishing the race at all is an achievement unto itself, and every last musher overcomes their own challenges to do so. For Beatty, it was a priority.
I don't think anybody else had it in their mind that they were trying to get the Red Lantern, but I definitely was. Like, if I had encountered another team along the way up ahead of me, I would have stopped and taken a break.
For Beatty in particular, the recognition meant a lot. He did finish the Iditarod in 2019, even winning Rookie of the Year, but had his finish stripped due to one of his dogs dying from pneumonia.
And so coming into this race I ran for her memory. And it was of the utmost importance to me that I finished this race with a team that was really healthy and really strong. And that was my entire motivation. And we pulled that off, sure, very back of the pack. But like I said, I don't care.
Yeah. My dog team looks awesome. Look at them. They can keep going.
Endurance and dedication rewarded.
And congratulations and welcome to Nome.
Oh, thank you, sir. That's awesome.
Charlie Fellows, Alaska's news source.
For some sled dogs, this year is their last great race, but that also means some are now in need of new homes. Joe Allgood spoke to folks trying to find a happy retirement for Alaska's accomplished canine athletes.
As the last musher reaches Nome, Iditarod comes to a close, and for some of the athletes, it's their last race. So where do they go after that? You can take the dog out of the competition, but you can't take the competition out of the dog.
Jimmy is my sidekick. He's our spokes dog right now for Jimmy, for our organization, and he's run Iditarod 3 times. He finished with 3 different mushers because he was such a good leader.
Julie St. Louis has dedicated years to finding new homes for these athletes.
If they want a skidjor, or if your kid wants to do a 1 or 2 dog mushing, or just hiking with your dogs, we have the dogs. All right, ready?
They already kind of have been trained a lot, and they're very food motivated. But as long as taking them out and keeping them active is what's going to keep them happy and healthy.
Many compete for nearly a decade, but you wouldn't know it.
Even the older ones, even, 11-year-old, 12-year-old retired sled dog, you wouldn't know it. When I bring them out in public and people ask how old, they think they're puppies sometimes.
And of course.
I mean, they're not obviously for everyone. They're bigger dogs. They're strong.
But everyone deserves a little downtime.
We also have some that are older and they're just ready to chill. So just come talk to us and let us match you up with whatever dog is right for your activity level.
Because everyone's in need of a best friend.
Every dog deserves to be happy and deserves to be loved by a family, so it's just important to keep them happy.
If you're interested in adopting a sled dog, you can find Julie and the August Fund at PetSmart in Takotnu Commons on Sunday from 3 to 6. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
That is nearly every Sunday that you can find them at the PetSmart in Takotnu Commons, with some rare events at Diamond. You can follow their social media to learn more.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.